those news and updates that we see on the regular news all the time, the fluctuations of the markets, they're going up, they're going down. It seems sometimes they're even going sideways and diagonal. What should we be looking at right now in the markets to keep our portfolio intact as we go forward? We're heading toward the holiday season. That's always going to be a little bit of a hit to our finances. How do we keep ourselves on the straight and narrow in the markets? No better person to talk to about that than Tom Griffore, Senior Wealth Advisor at Great Lakes Wealth, joining us now on the Splash Live. Tom, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks, Tyler. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. It's been a while since we've talked to the team over at Great Lakes Wealth, but always good to check in every now and then to help people in our communities and communities all throughout the local area here in Oakland County keep up to date on their finances, in particular their investments and their actions in the markets, because our economy continues to fluctuate around the clock. There are good days, there are bad days, good weeks and bad weeks, and everything that's going on around the world at this time, including in our community, can affect these markets. But at this time, Tom, what are some of the trends that we're seeing in terms of those market fluctuations based on what's going on in the economy and how consumers are reacting to those?
Well, good question. I think it has a lot to do with the supply and demand out there, right? So there's a supply and demand of goods and services. So we really track the gross domestic product. But at Great Lakes Wealth, we're really focused on what we call the business cycle. So typically you have an early business cycle where the Fed starts to cut interest rates, and they do that to stimulate the economy. And then you kind of get into what's called the mid-cycle business cycle, where they're trying to say, hey, can the economy stand on its own? And now we're actually trying to have what's called the tightening cycle. So the Fed is actually trying to control inflation, which everybody is feeling out there, Tyler. You can look at the gas prices and the groceries and things like that. So you really got to be kind of a smart consumer at points, because there's some prices that are going down. Used cars are actually going down in price. Television sets are actually going down in price. So you really got to be a smart consumer out there. But when it comes to the stock market, yeah, when the stock market loves certainty, and there's a lot of uncertainty right now in the stock market. With we have interest rate hikes, we have a possible government shutdown coming up in September, we have student loan debts coming due. So there's a lot of headline risk in the markets right now, Tyler. So you be very strategic on how you invest. But there's a great opportunity if you're a saver. You could be saving in a money market, and you're getting over 5% interest on your money. You didn't have that last year. Last year, interest rates were really historically low. So I think when you look at the overall fluctuations in the market, it makes total sense to us. We're in what's called the late cycle business cycle, and you can see it because energy prices are starting to go up. So it's a good place you're putting money in the gas pumps. You might as well put some money in the market on that side of the market.
And it's good advice too. You mentioned the student loan debt payments are going to begin being due. People are already getting their notifications. I got my notification that this is restarting pretty soon, and those payments are going to be due in October. And so for parents in our local area, especially who have kids that have recently graduated, they're not really sure about what to do in the markets. What are good places for kids that are just out of college or young people that want to be investing in the markets and thinking about their future early? Where is a good place for them to start at this time, given the constraints that we have in our market at this time and the way the economy has been ebbing and flowing in recent months?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. I mean, really what you got to start to focus on is what your long-term or short-term goals are. I mean, basically, if you want to start saving for retirement, it's always good to save for retirement early. You want to open up what's called a Roth IRA, and you want to get that money started, and you want to kind of start dollar cost averaging in. If you can't afford, which is 6,500, you can put into a Roth IRA every year when you're younger. If you can maximize that every year, Tyler, you're going to really be ahead of the game. Also, savings. I mean, just literally savings. Like mentioned before, last year, interest rates were so historically low that you couldn't get anything on your money. But now you can go into your bank account and you can get at least 4 to 5% on your cash. So make sure you have an emergency fund, a savings account, but also really focus on what your long-term or short-term goals are. If you're saving for more for college down the road, you need to set that money aside. It should not be invested in the stock market at this time. But if you have a longer-term goal, you should be dollar cost averaging in this market. And there's one thing that you can do really well that fights inflation is the stock market. It's probably the single most important investment you can do for growing your money.
Tom Griffore is a senior wealth advisor at Great Lakes Wealth. You can find more information, get in contact with them at greatlakeswealth.us for more information. Talking about the markets and talking about your investments as we continue through these economic fluctuations and really interesting times in the economy, both in the markets and in general economics in the United States and around the world. Tom, we have an election season that's already starting to heat up. As we approach the 2024 presidential election, we're a little bit over a year away from those elections coming to bat, and the primary season is going to be coming up very soon when these things heat up even more. And those elections, much like a looming government shutdown potentially next month or later on this month, could also have big impacts on people's finances. What should they be doing to prepare to shoulder some of those common economic burdens that pop up during an election season?
Yeah, so you really want to be, the elections are going to happen, and of course, whatever side of the aisle you're on, it's going to happen. Bottom line is, you got to make sure that you're not focused on the politics of investing. There's going to be obviously some more volatility, Tyler, when it comes to different candidates, and it has to do with maybe raising your taxes, or maybe you're a business owner and it's affecting you that way. But I would say don't focus too much on the politics of the market, more on the supply and demand of the economy and what's actually driving this economy. So it goes back to really focusing on, you can't control politics, obviously, but what you're focusing on is how are you going to save for retirement? What are you saving for your short-term goals? What are you saving for your midterm goals? And like you said before, also with the student loan debt, I mean, that a lot of people aren't used to paying that back right now. We kind of had a stalemate there that you didn't have to pay into the student loan debt. Well, that actually affects the economy because now you're not going and getting an extra Starbucks coffee every week. You're actually paying that money towards your loan. So it all kind of ties into the what you're talking about. But at the end of the day, I will tell you that the markets love a divided Congress. They absolutely love it. They don't like one sided or the other. So politics aside, you're 100% right. There will be some more volatility, but lean into that volatility. Once again, your goals have to be very defined.
Tom Griffore is with us, Senior Wealth Advisor at Great Lakes Wealth on the Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's live daily news and talk show. Your stories from your hometown on your community media outlets, Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Tom, something that I'm sure a lot of people in our local area here in the Greater West Bloomfield community throughout Oakland County and around southeastern Michigan are thinking about right now as they look at their calendars and say, oh man, it's almost the end of September. We're getting into October. We're near the end of the year. Holiday season's coming up, and that means we're going to have our purse strings a little bit tighter because we're going to be giving out gifts to our friends and our family. How do you suggest that people, when they're thinking about their finances and they're heading toward the holiday season, how do they get ahead of that so that they don't have this sudden rush when they're buying those gifts of being like, oh no, now I'm out of money or I'm really, really tight on cash?
Great question. Start now. Start now looking for your gifts now. Look for discounts out there. A lot of people love to shop on Amazon. Obviously, that's a great place to start. But at the end of the day, look for the deals now. Look for when it gets closer and closer to the holidays. You have Black Fridays and things like that. So make sure you're being a very smart consumer and understand what you're trying to buy and set that money aside for that. That money should be set aside specifically for those type of holidays. We have different little strategies here at Great Lakes Wealth, and we always say you have to have an emergency fund, and then you go ahead and create another fund for travel, and then this is just another fund for Christmas gifts. At the end of the day, the holidays are coming up. Everybody wants to give more. Your wallets are a little tighter, so you have to plan now for that. You don't want to wait till the last minute, Tyler, because you might get some special deals, but if you're looking for a gift now, start searching now.
All of these economic fluctuations, that supply and demand, also going to play a big role on the prices of those gifts also, and that plays a role into taking some of this sage advice from advisors at Great Lakes Wealth and other financial institutions all across our local area. Tom, we appreciate your time and thank you for joining us today.
Hey, thanks a lot, Tyler. You have a great day.